Hubris of Bill Belichick may end up costing North Carolina like post-Brady Patriots. During Bill Belichick's disastrous debut as North Carolina's coach, ESPN's broadcast cut to him on the sideline in his new UNC hoodie, its sleeves cut off in his signature style. And if my lip reading is correct, Belichick seemed to say to himself, "What the F are we doing?" Funny, because I've wanted to ask Belichick that question for a long time now. What are we doing, Bill? How did we get to a point where your team was embarrassed by TCU 48-14 during a nationally televised Monday night game on Labor Day? Where most of the fans left the stadium by the end of the third quarter. Where the broadcast ran out of things to say about the blowout, so commentator Kirk Herbstreit put his headset on his golden retriever and let the dog pant into the mic for 15 seconds. After all the hype, the Belichick era at UNC is off to the worst possible start. And it has taken a lot of hubris on Belichick's part to get us here. When UNC hired Belichick late last year, his famous name and 6 Super Bowl rings seemed to swallow up a lot of the questions about his recent coaching ability. Remember, no NFL team would hire him. So did the noise around his very public relationship with his 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordon Hudson. On our podcast, The Sports Gossip Show, co-host Madeline Hill and I have been following the Belichick-Hudson relationship closely. I've also been a Patriots fan my whole life. Obnoxious, I know, but I didn't choose where I was born. I have spent more time than anyone should watching news conferences where Belichick would repeat lines such as, "We're on to Cincinnati," and mock social media by making up fake apps like InstaFace. Belichick's Patriots didn't have room for individual personalities. You had to do your job and take no days off. Joy wasn't the point in Foxborough. Winning was. And then the winning stopped. Belichick and the Patriots let Tom Brady leave New England in 2020 and go to Tampa Bay, where he promptly won another Super Bowl. Part of the reason Brady left was because his relationship with Belichick had deteriorated, and Foxborough wasn't big enough for the both of them. With Brady, Belichick's NFL coaching record was 249-75. Without Brady, it's 83-104, and Belichick's record with the Brady-less Patriots was 29-38. Before you yell at me, I'm not saying Belichick 73 isn't a legendary coach. He's 15 wins away from being the winningest of all time, and he's clearly the Dark Lord of defensive arts. Brady's prime years coincided with Belichick's. We'll never know who contributed most to what percentage of the wins. But those numbers certainly don't show Belichick's recent career in a favorable light. Belichick fumbled the Patriots' quarterback situation for 4 years in New England after Brady left. The Patriots were disjointed. Belichick hired coaches without giving them clear job descriptions. He got fired and failed to land another job in the NFL. Despite his legendary resume, teams cited his demand for total control over an organization as a reason not to bring him in. As one executive told The Athletic at the time, "I think people would be concerned about the culture in the building. Belichick's culture worked when they were winning, but he got fired because they weren't winning." Bill was 71 years old and out of a job. And then UNC hired him. And instead of rehabilitating his image, it sent his public narrative spinning totally out of control. Hudson appeared to be running Belichick's media relations, a situation that transcended the sports world and spilled out into pop culture when she interrupted a CBS interview. Belichick also requested that she be CC'd on all emails with him and the UNC staff. Belichick fired most of the UNC staff when he arrived, to the point where the folks who remained were running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Sure, Belichick is bringing attention and money to a football program at a basketball school. But he's also brought that same late-stage Patriots turmoil and a media circus, because he can't, or doesn't care to, control the public narrative involving his girlfriend. He convinced players and their parents to put their trust in him to guide young men in their football careers, only to royally embarrass them in the first game on national TV. It's almost an entirely new team made up of high school recruits and transfers. The talent is better than it had been at UNC, but Belichick had 70 new players and a month of training camp to make them into a team before the TCU game. Yes, I understand that all coaches bring in their own staff and new players. This was a complete overhaul for a program that was going to be in the spotlight immediately. A loss would have been one thing, but a blowout is another, and Belichick should have known it was likely. It takes real hubris to do what Belichick is doing at Chapel Hill. Some humility, given that he's never coached in college before, would have served him well. Instead, he's been behaving the way he used to when he was winning rings in New England, going so far as to make it difficult for NFL scouts by giving them an empty UNC depth chart. He set his family up nicely too. Belichick appointed his son Steve as the defensive coordinator and his son Brian as the defensive backs/safeties coach, even though directly supervising family members appears to go against UNC's hiring policies. Belichick is the highest-paid public employee in North Carolina at $10 million a year, Steve makes $1.3 million a year, and Brian is making around $500,000. A lot of the public narrative about Hudson and Belichick has speculated that she's taking advantage of him. But as Madeline and I have been saying since we started covering this story, the age gap isn't what's interesting about it. It's the power dynamics. Last spring, it seemed like Hudson had a lot of power. She was allegedly part of the reason filming Hard Knocks at UNC fell apart, and appears to be deeply involved in Belichick's businesses. But what the situation at UNC has made clear is that Belichick has always had the power. UNC hired a PR guy, so now Hudson seems to be cut out of the day-to-day. She's only in North Carolina because Belichick is. His kids are only there because he is. The new players are only there because he is. The sold-out stadium is only there because he is. Belichick is the only reason everybody has been talking about UNC football at all. This is all his responsibility. Any early sins will be forgiven in Chapel Hill if Belichick can string together wins. But on the Sports Gossip Show, we like to talk about vibes, that intangible feeling around teams. I was optimistic before the blowout that the Belichick era at UNC might not be a disaster. But when you look at the total picture and factor in the vibes at UNC right now, not great. So, what happens if Belichick at UNC is just the post-Brady Patriots 2.0 but worse? At the end of the day, Belichick and his family will be fine. It's the UNC players who will bear the brunt of it if the losses continue. And it's not like the UNC trustees will feel any pain if this goes south. It's the staff who will have to pick up the pieces when this is over if it doesn't go well. It's the people with the least power who will be most affected if Belichick can't do his job, which used to be the one thing he demanded of everybody else. You can find the Sports Gossip Show every Tuesday and Thursday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.